How many limousines have been used at the Copenhagen Climate Conference? The answer is 1,200.
Thanks very much. You're watching The Right Stuff with Angelica Bell, Terry Christian and our special guest Sanjeev Bhaskar. In a little while, Sanjeev in the rest of today's headlines, but first, what on earth does the panel make at the Climate Change Conference in Copenhagen? Don't forget you can email your thoughts. rightstuff@5.tv is the address. Has it been a waste of precious resources like time? It all kicked off 2 weeks ago when delegates from 192 countries jetted into the Danish capital. The idea to thrash out a planet-saving deal. With Kyoto expiring in 2012, politicians wanted a new, broader agreement to control greenhouse gas emissions, but things haven't gone so well. Major issues such as emission cuts and aid to poorer countries to help them meet their targets have ended in deadlock thus far, with developing nations walking out in protest only to then walk back in. Tree-hugging demonstrators, they haven't shown much faith in the summit either. More than 1,000 clashed with Danish police earlier this week, 230 arrests. The conference was further rocked by the resignation of its president, Denmark's energy minister, Connie Hedegaard. That, in turn, forced Denmark's prime minister to step into her shoes and get the talks moving again. Even our Green champion, the ludicrously optimistic Ed Miliband, he admitted the conference had been close to farce. This £150 million summit juggernaut closes today, just as Barack Obama flies in to try and push through some kind of concord. Maybe he can do what 15,000 delegates couldn't, not even with the help of 5,000 journalists, including 34 from the BBC, 98 world leaders, and, of course, those well-known climate change scientists, Leonardo DiCaprio and Helena Christensen, all of whom are staying in top hotels, travelling around in big cars after flying about in jumbos or private planes. I think the only certain thing we can say the summit has achieved, you can call me cynical, is that it's helped speed up global warming, 41,000 tonnes of carbon dioxide. Was it worth it, Terry?
Oh, well, thanks for coming to speak on this little subject. Try and say something.
I mean, that's the funny thing is, it's a huge subject that everyone's a bit cautious of saying.
I mean, the problem is you can't quite grasp what could possibly happen if we don't do something about it. And basically, you know, these big agreements, it's like us and the Americans, especially the Americans, saying, "Listen, you stay in your mud huts, right? Because we've got five cars each to run." And there is a touch of that, you know, because it's in developing countries, you know, that they want them to kind of cut their carbon emissions when they're not emitting anything like the United States are. The Chinese are, and we're trying to get them to do, you know, clean reactors.
Well, we want them to kind of play ball and allow us to actually verify their claims, but they never let us do that. We've never been able to verify their fishing quotas, let alone their emissions.
And they're saying, what are you doing? You're like Jeremy Kyle. What are you doing? You. And then as for the protesters, it's like, you know, what are they... They're all protesting.
Well, that's so strange, isn't it? They're protesting.
Some it's like composting toilets for all, others it's, you know, organic falafels on pita bread or whatever, and, you know, and others are just against everything. It's all the same people you get at G2. But what it is if Milton Keynes ends up being a seaside town in 15 years' time, the politicians can say, well, we tried.
But did they try hard enough, Sanjeev? I mean, this is... What people forget, it's a 2-week conference, but it's the end of a 2-year political programme. And at the end of 2 years, they have nothing.
It's true. I mean, the thing is that what confuses the issue is, again, it's combining politics with anything. And so, in this case, we're combining politics with science.
Yes.
And the difficulty is that there are so many kind of lobby groups, and one of the reasons that Kyoto failed was because the fossil fuel lobby groups, particularly oil in America, were so powerful that Bush was able to kind of go, we're not playing anymore. And so we're able to pull out of it. Now, the good thing this time has been the US have been kind of like... you know, addressing the issues a lot more. But, you know, you've got... The thing is, just from the science point of view, you end up not knowing who to believe, because you get a set of figures, then you get... It was the University of East Anglia, which had accused of massaging emails. Then Johnny Balls got involved as well, which was in the paper the other day, that he'd got on stage and said, this is doom-mongering, particularly for the kids and stuff. And you kind of go, well, I don't understand the science behind it. And all we get...
Is that part of the problem, that it's just... I mean, we're trying... It's the first thing I can think of in my lifetime where we've actually tried to get the world to come around a table and make some kind of agreement.
Yeah, and the problem is that, you know, now you'd wonder if there wasn't a massive alien attack, which in the movies everybody gets together and fights. The politicians will be going, well, you know, really, maybe your ships could go in first because we've only got a boat. And,
I think that's absolutely right. And so, at the end of the day, everyone is ultimately, every delegate is ultimately going to be self-interested, aren't they? They've ultimately got to look after the people that vote for them or the people that they suppress through their military hunters or whatever.
But also, surely, you know, America and China are the biggest polluters. They need to come to some sort of arrangement. If they do, there's bound to be a trickle-down effect.
On a basic level, I think, because I don't really know the ins and outs as well as you do, but at least it's brought this to the forefront of people's minds, because, you know, with day-to-day busyness of life, sometimes we forget about the planet we live on. We just think...
but you know what, Angelica? I was sitting there thinking, if we're supposed to be... if we're being told all the time, don't take flights, it's bad for you, don't do this, don't do that, we've got to think of new ways...
They should be leading.
Exactly.
And especially if they're spending £150 million to get this thing together and nothing's been resolved, it's like...
The waste.
That just astounds me. It completely astounds me. But the other week I went to Lapland, and they were saying in Lapland that you have to now go to certain parts of Lapland to definitely guarantee snow. Whereas I always thought that wherever you go in Lapland and you see Santa Claus, you will see snow. But they're like, no, because of global warming, you know, things have changed.
The effects are there, but
we do need to do something, but there's no solution. Big waste, and we need to get this sorted.
And also, the Scandinavian countries suffered from acid rain, didn't they?
Yeah.
In the 60s, 70s. So they know that pollution is out there.
We all know it, don't we?
It's
just this inability for the human race to get it together. I think that's what the conference has demonstrated. As I said at the beginning, I'm cynical. What about you? You can email your thoughts. Rightstuff@5.tv is the address. Copenhagen, what do people say?
Email here from Lisa. I think this conference has been nothing but a jolly. If they were so concerned about the climate and their carbon footprint, then why couldn't they use video conferencing?
Hear, hear.
If they can't show us that they are being responsible, then how can they expect the rest of us to be? Another one, Bernard, I think it is. The conference is a total waste of time, as all climate conferences are. The only answer is to take all private cars off the road worldwide.
Whoa. What about turning off the lights in the big office buildings? Why don't we start there? You know, no one's there, turn them off. Simple.
Video conferencing. And finally, one from Anne. Why are they all sitting at the conference drinking bottled water? What a bunch of hypocrites. Do as I say, not as I do.
There we go.